Yeah.
So we will.
We should. Give the people what they want. Yes. Thank you.
All right, everyone, it is December 14th, 2023. This is the ALCOSAN Board meeting for the month. I'm Sylvia Wilson, the board chair, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to God of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, thank you. It's great to have the roll taken, please. Carl Klein. Teresa Cal Smith. Darren Kelly.
Here.
Emily Kincaid.
Here.
Harry Readshaw.
Here.
Dr. Tharp Gilliam.
Present.
Sylvia Wilson. Here. Right, so we'll get started. I just want everyone to know that we had an executive session just prior to this board meeting. There are no votes taken during the executive session. There is no one signed up today for public comment. So we will move right into item B. Ms. Fantoni will give us a review of the 2024 budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Right. Now, we all know that I am not the luckiest one when it comes to technology, so just bear with me. I will do my very best. All right, so thank you again, Madam Chair. I am very happy to be here to present for your consideration the 2024, can you believe it? Operating and capital budget. It's astounding to me. It feels like we were just here talking about 2023. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because right after me on the agenda, we have Hatch, who will be coming up, and we'll talk a little bit about their role in the whole budget process. And they're very instrumental in us looking at the process and getting the whole budget pulled together for you. This is, we say, a 5-month process. In all honesty, I start working on this in April. So we will, once we get finalized with the numbers for 2023, we'll actually start looking at the 2025 budget, if that makes any sense. It's crazy. So we are in the 3rd year of a 5-year rate resolution. So we are very comfortable with what we can forecast, what we think revenue should be. So which is very, very nice, a nice position to be in. We have presented this draft budget to the board for the review in November, about November 16th. We are going to be asking later on the agenda for the board to approve this budget. Once it is approved, we will present this budget to BNY Mellon, who is our trustee, as in compliance with the trust indenture. We will also then be posting this to our website for the public's review. And we will also be presenting it to Emma, which is in compliance with the municipal bonds. And so we need to present that out there. So some of the highlights for this year's budget is we have a 7% rate increase for 2024. Again, that is in keeping with the 5-year resolution that was passed. It's going to provide additional funding for self-funded capital. As we continue through the Clean Water Plan and we get to the capital slides, you'll see that funding of that is very critical. The majority of that is done with bond funds, but to the extent that we can fund some of that with our own capital, that saves money for both, for the ratepayers and for the program in general. It increases the Clean Water Assistance Fund payment by $3 up to $45. So we try to keep that consistent year to year with the rate increases. It's money that we set aside to help the more vulnerable ratepayers. It is out there. We try to fund the first 4 T-gallons of consumption each quarter, which is how the program was initially set up to do. And we try to keep that in touch with where we are with the rate increases. So again, this proves all our coverages and our ratios that we're required to have for the trust indenture, and it meets all the other requirements. So what does it show us? So what is it that we really need to have? So what are our needs? So from an operating perspective, we're looking at $121 million. Debt service is about $78 million, and that does include an interest payment on projected 2024 bonds that we have not yet issued, that we are hoping to issue in mid-2024 to continue to fund that clean water program. Total capital spending of $231 million, and then again, some additional money we want to set aside to continue to self-fund some of that capital. Total budget is $440,468,600. And let's not forget that $600. So where is that money going to come from? Okay, most of it's coming from our ratepayers. We have budgeted revenue of 229, almost $230 million. Okay, that's taken into consideration that 7% rate increase. We budgeted interest income. This is the first budget we've had in a long time that's actually shown interest income. We are very fortunate this year. We actually were able to receive interest income because of the rising rates. I don't know if anyone's been looking at some of the things that are out there, but rates are projected to go back down. Not to the extent that they were where they were totally anemic, but they are going to decrease is what's projected in 2024, which is why we kind of budgeted in the middle of the road there for interest income. So we budgeted revenues about $240 million. So when you look at our expenditures by division, you can see here where we're spending that operating budget of the $121 million. Some of the larger increases this year are in the interceptor systems. Some of that money is for the cleaning contracts. It went up about $3 million for cleaning contracts to continue with our required cleaning and maintenance of that interceptor system. Other areas where you'll see increases is in plant operations and plant maintenance. We've seen increases obviously in our utilities as well. When we looked at the budget for what it costs us to operate and maintain the facilities, our water increased by about 20%. Our gas went up 25%. Electric, we budgeted an extra 34% for Duquesne Light. So we're also seeing some of those rate increases here as far as what it costs us to operate the plant. We've also seen increases with besides our utilities, with our chemicals and some of the supplies that we utilize in that function. Additional increases are staff increases. As we continue through the Clean Water Plan and we continue through regionalization, we have various vacancies that we need to continue to fill. We have retirements too, so we're always looking to hire new folks here. Capital spending, I'm going to touch briefly on a couple things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Director Kennedy, who's going to talk a little bit more in depth in some of the major capital items that we have included in the 2024 capital budget. I know this slide is a little difficult to read. I apologize for that, but we have a lot going on. So this is the first time we have all 3 tunnel segments actually reflected in the Clean Water Program plan. A couple of years ago, we dissected the capital budget into a couple segments. This is the Clean Water Plan. So you can see here the total different capital projects that are making up that plan that's ongoing. We have what we consider our organic capital. Or organic capital would be our routine types of capital that we do to maintain and operate the plant. So these would be things that be outside of that Clean Water Plan. So when we look at total capital funding for the year, we're looking at $231+ million. of total capital spending expected in 2024. So I'm going to turn this over to Director Kennedy, and she's going to highlight some of the major projects.
If anybody's paying attention, this was also the top 5 capital projects anticipated for 2023. These are the same 5 projects. So, when Karen showed the clean water plan numbers and the organic capital, these are the 5 biggest spends that we anticipate in 2024. The biggest, by far, is the CSO bypass and disinfection project, which is actually a project that we haven't talked a lot about. We awarded that in 2022, but there's going to be a lot of work on that project next year. And then the North End Plant Expansion and East Head Works will come in just under $30 million each. Those projects have been going on for a couple years now, and I think that we're all pretty familiar with what's going on out there associated with those projects. Our environmental compliance facility, or the building that's going up next to the parking garage, will be done next year, and our staff will start moving over mid-year next year, so that one will finish out. And then we'll bid the Ohio River Tunnel. So we have a $15 million spent to get us into a position to bid that project third quarter. So just a couple slides that sort of show where we're at on some of our bigger spends. So this is the North End. Right now, the contract value is just under $115 million. We've spent just under $80 million to date. So we're coming up and around 70% complete. And that one will finish up in 2025. And then out here at the East Head Works, we're just under $90 million total contract value right now. We're about 65% complete on the East Head Works. And this one has been going on since June of 2021, but it will finish right before the North End in 2025. So we still have all of 2024 for both of these projects to be in construction. The environmental compliance facility, like I said, that's a $32 million building. We're just at halfway, and we've got about six more months on that project. If you saw it coming in, it's really coming together. It's very nice. And then last but not least, here we are, the Ohio River Tunnel. So this is bidding next year. This is the alignment, the near facilities, everything that I went over when we got the authorization to advertise. So in terms of capital, that's what we're looking at. That'll be our major focus for 2024.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, so the legally mandated capital program would not be possible without rate increases. It's a fact. And so when we look at that 7% rate increase that is budgeted for 2024, what does that mean to our ratepayers? So what it means is that it's going to cost of the average ratepayer about $41.16 more a year than what they paid in 2023. So it's literally $3.43 a month more in order for that to afford that rate increase. So when we look at credit ratings, you know, where we are, we went out for bonds. The last time we went out for bonds was in 2022. At that time, S&P upgraded the authority to AA- with a stable outlook. The previous bond issuance before that was in 2020. And at that time, Moody's upgraded us to Aa3 with a stable outlook. So again, we'll hopefully be going out for bonds here in 2024. So we'll see what the rating agencies have to say. But a lot of the things that they talked about back in 2022 as our strengths, we've continued to improve upon those strengths. They've consistently strong financial statements, our debt service ratios. They like the long-term rate plans, the fact that we've already improved through the 2026. They really like those multi-year rate resolutions. They like the fact that we have an experienced management team and the flexibility that was negotiated into the consent decree. So what are our credit challenges? And again, those two haven't changed. We're going to be living with those for quite some time. The consent decree is substantial. I don't think anybody in this room doesn't understand that that is a substantial scope. It's a heavy lift. It takes all of us, you know, in order to make that work. Our debt ratio is already above average. We have substantial future debt issuances are going to be required in order to fund that capital projects. Again, we talked about we're going to be going out again in 2024 for some new money. And then what do we need to avoid so that we don't get downgraded? Obviously, a downgrade in that rating would raise our interest costs, which would raise the amount of money that we have to pay in order to afford these programs. So that ends my presentation. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them.
Not hearing any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, next up, Pat is going with their report.
Change slides here. Thank you, Madam Chair. Board members, directors, esteemed colleagues, my name is Colin Lampark. I'm the project manager with Hatch, and I'm here tonight to present our consulting engineers report for 2023. Tonight, we're going to focus on the annual report, the major items in the annual report for which the board will be considering approval later. Plan on starting with the purpose for the annual report and some of the aspects that go into the process and development, the major items contained within the report, and then finish with an outlook and for 2024. So first, why we prepare the report. Our trust indenture, which is an agreement with the bond issuers and the authority, requires ALCOSAN to have a consulting engineer prepare an annual report that addresses a litany of topics. These include maintenance, repair, operation of the sewer system, current state of the sewer system, capital additions, insurance coverages, and evaluation of revenues and their adequacy to cover expenses. The purpose for this report is to provide a look at the last fiscal year and then also provide a look into the next fiscal year, in this case, 2024. As Director Fantoni previously mentioned, it is for us, it's a year-long process. And the report is categorized into 6 distinct categories. The first is an operational, the sewer system operation review. One way to gauge the overall performance of a sewer system is its ability to comply with the regulatory requirements of the permits. In order to do this, we review monthly discharge monitoring reports. We also perform quarterly facility inspections in conjunction with ALCOSAN's operations staff. We need to not only look at can we comply with the regulatory requirements today, but we need to look into the future to see if we'll be able to comply with future requirements. And this is essentially ALCOSAN's Clean Water Plan or the Capital Improvement Program. In order to gauge our progress on these matters, we facilitate bi-weekly capital improvement review meetings. We also participate in the annual budgeting for the capital improvement projects. Our findings for 2023 was that the sewer system was well maintained and good repair and operating condition. This is evident by compliance with all of our permits. We met the effluent quantity and quality discharge limits associated with our NPDES permit. Our capital improvement program also satisfactorily addresses future needs. It is very robust at this point, as Director Kennedy and Director Fantoni just touched on. It includes 35 active projects, as well as a low-cost capital item for smaller issues. Next, we review revenues and expenses. ALCOSAN's primary source of revenue is from service, commodity and service charges to its customers. For 2024, this includes a 7% increase, as it was previously mentioned, that the board adopted in 2021. Also, in the last several years, we've seen a large increase, in interest income. This is primarily due to more favorable interest rates on deposits. Although the commodity and service charges still represent the overwhelming majority of the revenues. Expenses, we participate in all the departmental expense meetings. We look just to make sure that everything is in line with budgets, previous years and needs. Just some notes on 2024. The 2024 operational expenses include increases for all the authorized staff positions. It includes some of the other big ticket items that Director Fantoni mentioned before too, like increased utility costs, employee benefits, and a customer assistance program. And finally, the last two items to be reviewed in the annual report are debt service and insurance coverage. A new bond series, 2024 bond series, will be required in 2024 to keep funding the capital improvement projects. That is accounted for in our budget. The trust indenture requires two critical checks on debt service coverage ratios. I'm an engineer, so I couldn't resist, and so we couldn't resist putting the equations up here, but I won't walk through the math. But both checks show more than adequate coverage ratios on our debt service, and basically that demonstrates that we have adequate cash flows to meet our debt service obligations. And finally, insurance coverage. There's a summary of all the insurance policies included in the report. We've reviewed these. They are in conformance with that required by the trust indenture, general practices, and the recommendations of your insurance carriers. So just to provide a final summary and outlook here, 2023, the facilities continue to be well maintained. The necessary repairs and maintenance are adequately addressed and accounted for. Normal operations have been continuously maintained. And we've complied with all our permit requirements, which is frankly a miracle given all the activity here at the plant at times. We have a robust capital improvement program in place that will allow us to continue to meet the objectives of the Clean Water Plan. Our revenues exceed necessary operating expenses. And finally, we're in strong financial position moving into 2024. This is reflected by our financial information that's included in the report, our debt service coverage ratios, and strong credit ratings from Standard & Poor's and Moody's. So that concludes my report. As I mentioned before, this is a year-long process, and really the lion's share of the work is done here by ALCOSAN and their staff. And special thanks to Director Fantoni and her team. They really make all this possible for us personally, for Hatch, and for myself. It's an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to be here tonight. I'd like to thank all of you and take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy holidays, and look forward to stewarding in a successful 2024 with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, 2023 capital budget status report.
How do I follow that up?
Well, now I know.
So we are, we're at the end of 2023. We're almost at $157,000 spent this year. It's been a busy year. All the projects that I talked about, all the planning, and looking forward to moving into 2024, starting a fresh capital budget status report.
And Item B is a report of actions by the executive director and approval with construction change orders. This can be seen on exhibit B. We have contract 1754, ALCOSAN Environmental Compliance Facility. Which first, Ms. Williams?
Madam Chair, we have 4 change orders under this item. We will move on to the next section, single change order. First 3 are environmental compliance facility related. The first one, we realized the need to relocate this transformer. Our maintenance staff recognized that it would be easier to access and maintain. That accounts for this cost. I'll just keep walking through if that's acceptable.
Sure.
Okay. The second one, environmental compliance facility, again, this is on the general. Again, something needed to be relocated, electrical plugs. I don't know exactly what slot plugs are, but I do get that where they were previously mounted wasn't a good spot. We changed it. There you have it. The last one for the environmental compliance facility is the HVAC. And this is due, no, I'm sorry, the next to last one for environmental compliance facility is HVAC. This is for the addition of a mud room on the upper level of that building, because we're going to do some special things on the 3rd floor that aren't fully understood just yet. We need a mud room. The next item for the environmental compliance facility, this is for the plumbing piece. Again, this is in support of the mud room.
Thank you. If there's no questions, we'll go on to item F. Report again by Ms. Williams. Approval of construction orders less than $30,000. And you can see this on exhibit C. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, once again, we needed to accommodate equipment in a different way. Things were just not fitting in this space the way it had been anticipated. This change provides for better fit. You can move on.
Okay. All right, we will move on to action items. The first item is to approve the minutes of the November 16th meeting.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion is, the minutes are approved. Item B is consider authorizing payment of invoices in excess of $20,100. To see this on exhibit D. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, your invoice list is consistent with what you received early on. If you have reviewed and have questions about specific invoices, you will be pleased to respond.
All right, hearing none, could I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is approved. Item C is a motion to award the following contracts. 1790, the Ohio River Tunnel Substation Transformer, and contract 1795, the inverted siphon cleaning to 2024. First is, we can see on exhibit E, the second is exhibit F.
Madam Chair, the first item for the transformers, the board authorized this contract back in April. We had explained this is an extremely long lead time item. I believe we will be taking receipt in mid-2026. However, it's something, if we don't order it now, were not going to get it by then. There were 4 potential bidders that have been identified. Only 2 chose to bid. One of the others recognized they could not meet the spec. The 4th one just did not respond. Of the 2 that did respond, you can see that there is a significant difference in pricing. You can also see that the one we would have all hoped would have been successful is not successful because they were not responsive. After a thorough review with council, they did not meet our needs. Primarily, they were not going to be able to hold this price until delivery. That is definitely not going to work for us to issue a blank check. So we are recommending award to, yeah, just the way you say that, those people.
I would think that's Shay or Yesco.
So they be a skinny day.
Yeah, a lot easier, a lot easier. Okay.
So this company is,
Able to hold that price? Yes. That is a stipulation.
Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Nice.
Okay, it's approved. And then we'll go into the second, yes.
second contract.
For the inverted siphon cleaning. This one, you authorized a contract in September. Pricing is just a tad bit above what we would have anticipated, but not anything that is troubling. Certainly still makes sense. We have experience with all 3 bidders. We are recommending award to Ransom.
If there's no questions, could I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it is approved. Item D is a motion to approve item D and E were both considered by the Professional Services Committee. And that meeting was held November 30th. And these 2 items have been approved to be considered by the full board today. So item 1, D1, is for HDR as engineering consultant services for an amount not to exceed $3,724. And no, I'm saying $3,724,050 to perform the services for the capital project X467 primary sedimentation tanks. Okay, I'm having trouble with sedimentation.
That's all right.
Okay, Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, the board awarded this project to HDR in October, authorized us to negotiate a fee. We have done so successfully. Return it with that fee for your actions.
To approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Item E is the motion to approve the modification of service authorization 373 for Mark McDonald for work that's associated with the final design of the Ohio River Tunnel. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, as you heard much about from Director Kennedy with respect to the ORT, Mark McDonald is the design consultant that you selected in October of 2021. Their authorization is running out. We need to reauthorize or modify their current authorization to address items that bubbled up in scope that hadn't been anticipated. But in addition to that, this will take us into, as Kim had indicated, we're going into bid phase and we will be moving into that construction area. This accounts for that.
And thank you.
Motion to approve the modification.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Item F is a motion to approve the scope of services from Perkin Elmer for the relocation and recalibration of certain specialty laboratory equipment, which is required for the move from the existing lab to the new lab. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, just what you said. This company is going to take care of the most sensitive instrumentation equipment that we have currently in our lab. Sometimes you move to a new house, you get all new stuff. Sometimes you don't need all new stuff. They will break it down, package it up, get it to where it's going, unpack, set up, recalibrate. This is a good deal.
And this motion is to allow Ms. Williams to negotiate a fee.
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Item G, I missed on a road meeting, am I correct? Green meeting?
You're
I don't
good.
have the date on it.
You're good.
Okay. There's a motion to modify the grant agreements for the green revitalization of this is the GROW program. By extending the term of the contract. We can see that on Exhibit G. Ms. Williams.
Madam Chair, again, housekeeping matter. Green Committee meeting was 16? No. Nope. We had a meeting.
We have it in the-
There's recording.
And these projects simply need to have, as you said, their end date amended. We're really fortunate that the program has continued to work so well. And that we can get to a point with our municipal partners where they're comfortable saying, we're just not there, we're not ready yet. And we can say, okay, let's keep working. That's what this does.
And the meeting was on the 15th of November. You were very close. That's impressive.
Okay, no questions? All right, motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Item H is a motion to authorize the executive director to execute a wastewater sampling data use agreement with Allegheny County regarding the collection and testing of wastewater to assist the Allegheny County Department of Human Services and its contractor, BioBot Analytics, Inc., in conducting wastewater epidemiology supporting Allegheny County's opioid mitigation efforts.
I don't know that we have ever had an action item that has been so explicitly descriptive. Say yes.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. It is important. Item I is a motion to authorize the executive director to execute the settlement agreement for the litigation docketed in the United States District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Ms. Williams.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear everybody.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposition on that one? Okay, thank you. Motion is approved. Item J is a motion to approve the board meeting dates for the calendar year of 2024 and to, of course, authorize the advertising of those dates.
Motion to approve and advertise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You had a whole slew of just very self-explanatory things. The end of the year, you're like, I'm just gonna make it very easy.
All right, and item K is the motion to adopt the report from the consulting engineers and the operating capital budgets for 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's approved. The only new business I have is just, I'm hoping everybody has a safe holiday. And wonderful new year, because we won't see you until after the new year. Anything else from anyone else? All right, any motion to adjourn, please?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.